Every time we have a fun conversation, this is how it goes. Hello, Madam P. And in return, she says, hello, Njeri Madam P. That is the woman I'm privileged to call my mother. A woman I really resemble. I just might be a little bit too talkative and maybe too loud. A very doting grandmother to my lovely daughter, Ivy. Hey, Ivy. The year was 1991, and my mother had had it in her marriage. No time for back and forwards, it was time for a divorce. So the best advice at the time was to go back to her parents. Todo odoni doragaraga directly translates to you don't mess with your in-laws. So they should have the peace to make her decisions and carry out her process. My grandmother, Shosho, was very supportive. See, back in the 70s and in the 80s, life was a bit unfair to women. If you were legally married and employed by the government, you didn't get no house allowance. At the same time, it was customary, a norm, that a woman did not inherit from her parents, whether she was single or married. So out of the mess of the divorce, some little good came out of it. Mama was able to get back her house allowance, and my grandmother, Shosho, declared her a son in the home. So she had the right to inherit land, just like her brothers, who are my uncles. Unfortunately, we lost Shosho right after my mother's divorce happened. And that wasn't very good for us. Not even the best of healthcare would save this woman. Not even the best of healthcare in the country would save her health. I still mourn her, and I miss her. So one beautiful Saturday morning, we're just chilling in the house. Shosho's house. So this is our home. And we hear this loud knock on the door. And Mama opens the door. And guess what? It was all my 4 uncles. And they didn't look very happy. So before I knew it, there was an argument going on. And what I could pick up was, before Shosho died, she did not legalize the fact that my mom was supposed to inherit land from this homestead. And so she needed to go, and she didn't have a chance of inheriting. It quickly escalated, and stuff was being thrown outside. And out of this commotion, the neighbors came over. But not even the pleas of the neighbors could stop my uncles from their quest of making sure that this woman and her children did not inherit anything in this homestead. My brother had not started school, so he left with my mother to a friend's house. And I was left with a neighbor, a distant relative, so that I could complete the school term. The following Monday, as I went to school, the only way I had to use was through my grandmother's home. And what I saw, I will never forget. All my mother's beautiful maize plants and the spinach had been cut down. They all lay flat. And I kept wondering, what kind of hatred or what kind of anger could have caused my uncles to cut all her beautiful plants on the ground? Why wouldn't they have allowed her to at least harvest her crops? And if not, at least feed my grandmother's zero-graze cows. They were still alive. But those are some of the things that I will never understand in life. Out of all those situations, though, I started understanding something as young as I was. That the world can be a very cruel place. And that the people who genuinely care about you can be very few. And I started a habit of retreating to myself. Something that I still do up to date. It probably is a protective mechanism. And who knows, it could also be baggage that I need to deal with. The man upstairs was very gracious to us. And Mama was able to get government housing. A servant's quarter, you know. But I loved it. It was better than apartments. We had a little space in it. It sat with a compound of around 50 to 100 square feet. And Mama being Mama, she immediately started farming. Before she could even figure out what to do with her sukuma wiki and her spinach, the neighbors were already asking, can we buy some? And just like that, there was a market for her crops. She later learned she could sell the tap water and make an extra coin after paying the bills. Well, she learned that she could also go to Marigiti or Gikomba markets in the morning, around 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning, do some business, come home, and by 8 to 9, go to her day government job, and in the evening, come and sell her skuma and her spinach and her tap water as she prepared dinner for her children. I hate to imagine how that woman struggled to raise her children. Being her firstborn, I had learned how to do those things, including going to Marigiti and Gikomba during the holidays and when time allowed. And every time we did this, I hated to imagine that she did it almost every day. It pained me to imagine that. And then just the imagination of the fact that she had lost everything in her marriage and the bad experience she had with her brothers, and she left with nothing but a change of clothes. And I longed for something that one day, just maybe one day, we would break from the shackles of financial struggle, family setbacks, and disappointments. At the time, though, that was such a huge dream for just a little girl in primary school. Such a shattered state. However, I understood something. That working hard in school was going to be a part of this equation. And with schoolwork came extracurricular activities. Boy, I loved extracurricular activities. Probably a little more than my double maths lessons. And I remember this beautiful day, we go for the Kiambu District Music Festivals. And while at it, I see these girls. They were looking really cleaned up. Some very white shirts, navy blue skirts, white socks, and well-shined black shoes. And I was like, woo! It would never get better. And I read the name on their bus. That was Mary Hill Girls High School. And I knew this was going to be the national school of my choice. And by divine order, I was selected to go there. Now, having come from the village to this big national school was such a life transformation. The first thing was they had to streamline my language. You know, the L's and the R's? Yeah, those. On a more serious note, though, I became a leader in this school and I learned leadership. Almost at the end of every term, the principal then, Sister Elizabeth Nziwa, used to bring the top-notch counselors and motivational speakers, both local and international, to speak to us. It is during this session that I started becoming more self-aware. My self-esteem started going up. I started understanding the great potential that lay deep within me. And even better still, I started having an idea of what a bright future waited out there for me with endless of possibilities. And one of the possibilities was going to America. One of the international speakers had let us know you could go as a student. So by the time I left Maryhill, I was not only armed with a dream, but I also knew how to achieve it. Something I pursued relentlessly. And all said and done, many years later, against all odds, here I am in the United States of America, practicing nursing, a career that gives me great satisfaction. See, when my parents' marriage broke down, it was dark for my mother, for my brother, and I. When Shosho took us in, there was a silver lining. But that too quickly faded. And I had a lot of why questions. Why was life so unfair? Why us? Why a series of misfortunes? But just like with many why questions, there was no concrete answer. Mama focused on doing what she could do given her circumstances. She made sure that we went to school and we had a good home life. This is something she had learned from my grandmother, Shosho, who, while widowed at a very young age, in a world that was not very friendly to women, did what she could do given her circumstances. It is the same gift that Mama gave me as I grew up. A gift that has seen me through a lot in life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Including empowering me to walk away from a dangerously violent relationship. It is the same gift that I give to my daughter, Ivy, and to the world at large. What I take pride, though, the most in all of that, is having been able to give back to this woman who selflessly gave her life to raise up her children. My mother, Madam P. Having been able to take her back to college and seen her graduate, something she really wanted to do, but her circumstances then would not allow, gives me so much joy. Having bought her land with a title deed reading her name on it, and a place where she calls home, where nobody can say you can't do that, or you can't do that, or walk out and throw her stuff away, gives me so much peace. As for Madam P, she continues to amaze us. What I can't completely comprehend is how she is able to forgive her brothers after doing such a heinous act to her, and is still able to have conversations with them and even open her door to them. What a woman. Thank you.